So this is a very straightforward assembly using one fixed component and one flexible subassembly. This subassembly is built from scratch with constraints that fully define the position and relationships between the components in subassembly. It was built thinking in advance to use it as a flexible one, so basically, although we know that degrees of freedom in Inventor basically are not that good, but generally we see that only the degrees of freedom that are important for this subassembly to be used as a flexible are present. You can examine the constraints. I will provide the dataset as always. So basically this subassembly works within the subassembly, and it is constructed as there is a central rod, there is a bearing set, and there is a chain sprocket. Bearing is free to rotate about the rod. Chain clip rings are constrained with bearing, and sprocket is rotating with the key and with the rod. On the rod there is a threaded nut that rotates, and the handle is constrained with this, and there is another bearing that basically is free to slide, but I just put it aside so to indicate that it is not constrained with this. It can only go, and it can only go up to here, so it has a limit. I will place it here so we can clearly see the position. It will be needed. So I will now save it. It's in master positional representation, and in this assembly it is used in its master positional representation, and it is set to be a flexible, and currently it works pretty much fine. I can drag it back and forth. So basically there are two problems, and now I will show you one. So this subassembly in the top level assembly has following constraints. So first, the bearing is constrained with the hole, the spring ring is constrained with the face of the groove, so this positions the bearing in the hole. Also the bearing is constrained, the angle constraint, so it doesn't rotate. There is a mate 3 that constrains the spring clip, the spring ring, with the groove in the other stiffener, and there is a angle constraint that constrains that fixes the rotation of this indicator as it is in the slot that is not presented here. So currently everything is fine. Only degrees of freedom left is this going along and this rotating according to the thread pitch. And this bearing is constrained. Look, mate 3 constrains the spring retaining ring with the face of the groove. And now what I will do, I will create new position representation of the top level assembly. Now in this new position representation, position 1, we have copied basically but look where the bearing is. The bearing is there where it is in the master position representation of this flexible subcomponent. And now look, the mate 3 is still active. It constrains the face of the spring ring with the face of the groove, and Inventor indicates that this mate is now being followed by the assembly, which obviously is a ridiculous solution. Furthermore, there is nothing I can do to get this bearing into there and to stay there. If I just, let's say, suppress that, and I will unsuppress that, the bearing now seems to be inside there. So I will now I will now remove the override. I will exit this, and once I am back, the bearing is again brought against mate 3. So clearly in this situation, using the flexible component, constraint solver gets and imposes the solution that is clearly against the constraints defined.